Jai Hind, welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. There's a lot happening as far as Taiwan is concerned. President Tsai Ing-wen is in USA. She's met the House Speaker McCarthy, and of course, there is some tension which is taking place around the Taiwan Strait. The Chinese have actually threatened Taiwan as they do all the time. How serious is this particular threat? What is going to happen? We will discuss with Dr. Shen who's joined us all the way from Taiwan in a holiday time. Thank you, sir, for joining
Yeah,
me. Doctor,
no
it
problem.
is
Yeah, today we are starting working. Yes, our holiday is to Wednesday. Yeah,
okay. Doctor is the Director Division of National Security Research, Institute of National Defense and Security Research in Taiwan. He's
yes.
done some shows with us, guys. If you've not seen the shows before, please do watch them. Very insightful insights that have been given by the doctor. So, first and foremost, welcome to the show. And I just want to ask you on at the preset. I hope everything is peaceful and quiet in Taiwan, because as per the media, which tells us that there is a lot of tension within Taiwan. Is that so, sir?
Yes, although the China right now currently have the exercise in the waters around Taiwan. One is in the west side is China Coast Guard, a big ship surround near Taiwan, and then another ship is aircraft carrier Shandong near the Taiwan southeast area. Right now, maybe 200 kilometer near Taiwan, but also have a United States aircraft carrier also near Taiwan, 300 kilometer. But we can see that the scale and intensity are much smaller than last year August. Last year August, we can see that after uh, uh, House Speaker Pelosi visit Taiwan, and China raised a big scale exercise. But this year, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe tomorrow will change. But from today's observation, is much smaller than last year August, because President Tsai Ing-wen's trip is to meet with the Speaker of the House of Representatives of the United States. China want to take this opportunity to provoke a major exercise. Maybe will affect the relation between United States and China, because right now we can see that China want to release the tension between United States and China because of China's economic requirement. But we can, judging from the President Tsai visit to the Central America and the United States this time, the important transition is to depart from Central America and stop in New York and stop in Los Angeles before returning Taiwan. Transition in New York to accept. President Tsai also accept a award from the Hudson Foundation, are affirming President Tsai's insistence on democracy and her courage to contend with China, and meeting with some U.S. governor and member of Congress in New York. While passing through the Los Angeles on the return journey, it can be seen that the United States Congress attached a great importance to this event, and almost 18 congressmen and the Speaker McCarthy meet our President Tsai at the Ronald Reagan Library. This also created a record for the President of Taiwan to meet the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the United States homeland. Although China warned a member of Congress not to join this event through the Los Angeles consulate, but it obviously had no effect and had a negative effect only. McCarthy said that a visit to Taiwan had not been ruled out. It means that maybe McCarthy will still want to visit Taiwan in the next half of the year, this year. And we also can see the two-party support for Taiwan in the United Congress. will also affect the decision making of the United States president, no matter which party get the power in the future in the next year. And we can also see that the President Tsai visit this time has created a dilemma for China response. Although it is only a transit and past uh, United States, it can be seen that Taiwan-United States relations have deepened, and United States support for Taiwan has entered a new stage, a new milestone. But China cannot change or stop anything. If it protests with a large-scale exercise, it will prove that China's current effort to eat situation, try to eat the situation, are liar, and it will make the international sanction led by United States and more stringent, and China's economic development will decline even in the future. If China does not take a strong response, I think the United States Speaker McCarthy may visit Taiwan in the next half of the year, which will cause stronger political effect and affect the presidential election in Taiwan and even in the United States. This development will make China more cautious in handling cultural relations and avoid going the wrong way to influence Taiwan presidential election. So you can see in next half a year in Taiwan we have presidential election, and next year also have a United States president election. So McCarthy visit Taiwan will become a critical factor to the cultural relation and even the United States and China relations.
Indeed, absolutely, sir. There's just so much happening in this particular field that it is tough to keep a track of sometimes. But it's also interesting that the Chinese have sent an aircraft carrier which is being tailed by another American aircraft carrier uh, close to Taiwan. That means that both the countries have actually, put their cards on the table and wherever things may fall. I don't think it's going to be an aggressive action of any sort. This is probably just strategic messaging on the Chinese part. What do you think, sir?
Uh, I think for China, China need to prove or need to show his attitude or his military capability about President Tsai transition to the United States, because you can see it's a new milestone between Taiwan and United States relation, because President Tsai is the first president of Taiwan, meet the speaker in the United States homeland. So this milestone meaning will make China angry. So China, I think China already prepare a different way or different pattern to protest that President Tsai Ing-wen visit United States. So I think the Shandong cross the Baltic Channel and sail to the uh, area between the first island chain and second island chain. Maybe it's a newer training voyage, but right now in this time, Shandong Aircraft Korea sail to this area is a proof China is angry and I show you my military capability. But we need to take care about this. If President Tsai fly airplane fly from Los Angeles to Taipei, maybe will cross this area. We don't know that the Shandong will take what measure to counter this plan. But I think because of the United States aircraft carrier sail to this area, also can monitor that the Shandong's any military action. So I don't think Shandong will take strong countermeasure to our president's airplane when this plane back to Taiwan, and also our air fighter also will protect this airplane. So only show China's angry attitude, or only show the military capability. But I don't think China will provoke or raise the tension in Taiwan Strait.
Indeed, sir. I think that's last time. I guess everybody was a bit more nervous than this time. People understand how Chinese are going to behave. Which
Yes.
brings me to the KMT, sir. A little bit about the insights you mentioned that there is a election in Taiwan this year, and funnily speaking, we had the KMT leaders going across to the mainland, meeting with the leadership of the CCP, making certain statements that were not very welcome within Taiwan as well as across the world. How does Taiwan actually, the people of Taiwan, look at the KMT's involvement with the CCP, sir?
Yes, but I need to remind you, former President Ma Ying-jeou is not the KMT leader because KMT chairman right now is Ari Zhu. Uh, from a local media, Ari Zhu doesn't know the former President Ma in this time visit China because there's embarrassed timing. Because right now KMT, who will on behalf of KMT to run the president election, not sure right now.
Ah,
Maybe Ari Zhu, maybe New Taipei City Mayor Hu Youyi, and the day before yesterday, uh, Terry Guo also announced he will run the president election on behalf of KMT. So in this time, former president visit China a little bit will embarrass these three guys because usually when Taiwan politicians want to run the presidential election, maybe will visit United States first and then prove to the United States, okay, his defense or his diplomatic policy, what his policy, and then will not visit China. But right now, our former President Ma Ying-jeou visit Taiwan, uh, proved that his view on the future of cross-strait relation is united with China, and showing that he recognized himself as a Chinese and that both sides of the trade belong to China. This is very important because we don't know which one will run the president election of KMT, but his attitude, how is the stance of, or he agreed that the former President Ma's attitude or not. But I think most of the Taiwan people have have not the same idea with the former President Ma. It's just his personal opinion. Although he is a former president, I think it's difficult to have a consensus on whether a democratic country can lead a trend, the united trend. China also is very clear that President Ma want to use his trip to highlight the existence of the Republic of China. But in China's view of history, the Republic of China has already been replaced by the People's
People's Republic.
Republic of China. ROC is replaced, has been replaced by the PRC, according to the China's view of history. So accepting former President Mao's visit to China is nothing more than a united front work to China. And therefore, some provincial party secretary call President Ma Ying-jeou, call him Mr. Ma Ying-jeou, or even the Jiangsu province secretary also call him the key opinion leader, KOL, which is to elaborate that his status. China allowing him to visit uh, the exhibition on the history of the Sino-Japanese War in the past is also implied, it also meaning that former President Ma Ying-jeou's climb to the ROC is only history. Although history is a fact that happened in the past, but it will also become the material of China use the United Front work to Taiwan or to KMT. And when President Ma proposed that both sides of the Taiwan Strait belong to one China, I think no one would think that the ROC still exists because when China established diplomatic relation with other countries, it already believed that ROC had disappeared and replaced by the PRC. When Xi Jinping determined that the 1992 consensus referred to the one China principle and the one country, two system, uh, the, conno- the connotation of a 1992 consensus has been replaced by one China. Every Taiwanese know that. And making 1992 consensus the framework of China's united front work. The DPP does not recognize the 1992 consensus, but if the KMT return to power, it might return to the 1992 consent for cross-strait interaction and dialogue, and cross-strait relation, and maybe even the Indo-Pacific security will also change.
Just as a lighter note, so I'm sure there is a lot of election study and election, exit polls and stuff like that happening in Taiwan. What do the people say? Who do they want back in power, President Tsai or the KMT, sir?
Um, uh, um, I mentioned about that right now because near the president election, we can see many investigation or poll from different institution or different unit. Right now, I think Taiwan people, most of Taiwan people, already recognize that China's 1992 consensus is equal to the meaning of the uh, one China principle and the one country two system. So maybe President Ma visit China, highlight ROC, but most of Taiwan people already know ROC only. You can mention ROC only in Taiwan. In the international society, I think no country, only maybe right now only 13 country that have a formal relation with Taiwan recognize ROC. But another country, even in India, I think you don't mention about the ROC, but use Taiwan this term. You can see that when President Tsai visited the United States, Speaker McCarthy also said President of Taiwan, but not mention the ROC because when China signed the diplomatic relation treaty or act, it also recognized or acknowledged that uh, ROC is replaced by the PRC. I think most of the time people know this situation.
Interesting. So the Chinese keep talking about advancing their timelines for Taiwan. They keep saying that, now by 2025, 2027, the CIA comes out and says that 2027 is the date when the Chinese would uh, take an action on Taiwan. What is your analysis about this whole preponement of Taiwan, sir, by the Chinese themselves? Have they said something about this, or is this just a Western narrative that they are trying to put pressure on Taiwan, on China itself?
Uh, yes, China has always had a timeline for its aggression or the unified Taiwan with military force or use of force against Taiwan. This timeline, such as 2022 already passed, 2024 because of a presidential election, maybe
Yeah.
we'll vote a Taiwan independent president, or 2025 is based on the United States Air Force analyze, and 2027 because of PLA established in 100 years, and maybe the first year that Xi Jinping will extend to the first term power, or even the 2035. This timeline are logical, but not publicly announced by the CCP senior leader. Because I think that any strategist or any strategic leader will not clearly announce when an exact time to attack a country. Because
Hmm.
if you announce the exact time to attack country, if that country were prepared and you were not success, you how to explain to the international society or your people. So when discussing China's military invasion of Taiwan, uh, it should be a matter of timing, not time. In addition to, I think, in addition to the three conditions set by anti-secession law of China, the three timing is for China physical invasion. The reason to execute is Taiwan independence and foreign power intervention and the possibility of a reunification disappearing may attract these three conditions may attract China to invade Taiwan by force. What is lacking reason and excuse at that time for China? But after the Russia and Ukraine war, China right now has realized that the gap between the Russian made weapon system and the United States and the Western country is huge. China is unlikely to solve the Taiwan issue in a short time. This possible is not high to resolve Taiwan problem in 3 days or Friday. Just Russia thinking about the resolve Ukraine issue in 5 days. Therefore, it must actually upgrade for China is military modernization in order to short to catch up with the gap in military strength between United States and China. And if the United States continue to assist Taiwan, it will also make China's dream of unified Taiwan farther and farther away instead of getting closer. And China wants to shorten the time limit for Taiwan. The key based on the gap between China military power and that of the United States, and whether China has completed prepare or preparation for long-term war and international sanction. It means that if China wants to resolve Taiwan issue with military force or military capability, it needs a long prepare or well prepared for long-term war, because Taiwan will take the lesson learned from the Ukraine and take the long war prepare and against China invasion, and then international sanction to China also need to handle by the China. And United States Speaker McCarthy mentioned yesterday, said we must continue to sail on to Taiwan and ensure that such sail reach Taiwan in a very timely manner. This proves that United States is also very concerned about that issue of the delay in the arm delivery and is working hard to resolve it. Because today also have a Congress delegation visit Taiwan. They also concerned about that Taiwan on sale from the United States and when can reach to Taiwan and increase Taiwan military capability.
Actually, I was going to ask you just this: how does Taiwan now kind of with let us suppose Beijing has actually improved the timeline and brought it a little shorter. That means the requirement of ammunition and weapons will be much higher. With the Americans predominantly focused in Europe, sir, is Taiwan trying to buy, President's visit to US, trying to bring back the attention toward the South China Sea? What is the purpose of President Tsai's visit to the United States, sir?
Uh, Yet you can see that from the media talking about that right now, United States already sent two, more than 200 personnel to help Taiwan training. And judging from the development of United States and Taiwan relation, you can see that the United States on-sale policy to Taiwan not change, and however, affected by the progress of the Russia-Ukraine war. In order to assist Ukraine in launching the spring battle, some weapon systems purchased by the Taiwan, such as M1A2 tank and HIMARS rocket system, will be given priority to Ukraine and causing the delay in delivery to the original purchasing country, like Taiwan. But this situation is not serious to Taiwan because United States already announced that a manned battle tank MRA2 and HIMARS rocket system should be available as scheduled or provided to Taiwan. In addition, in military personnel assistance, according to the military report, we can see from the media, from the picture, the number of the active duty United States soldiers in Taiwan increased to more than 200 people, and mainly to assist in training. In particular, the United States National Guard has begun to assist Taiwan's reserve force in training, and which also public in the media, local Taiwan media, which is very important for Taiwan military training to keep up with the international military trend, because Taiwan don't have a formal relation with a Western country, so maybe our military training uh, it keep in the traditional type. But right now, because of United States help, maybe we can catch up to the international military trend of training. And not only in this aspect, including to the inspection and review of Taiwan defense operational plan, action and integration during the war, also help from United States, and are all part of Taiwan United States exchange item. Because of a training help from United States and the United States on sale to Taiwan. So both in the United States and Taiwan are continuing in these items cooperation and exchange. And because of the deepening of U.S.-Taiwan relation, will increase and expand Taiwan uh, U.S.-Taiwan military cooperation. You can see this trend is very clearly.
So, as someone who observes the Chinese military, and this is my last question to you, how do you see the Chinese military as far as training, as far as equipment is concerned? There was an article that came out in the PLA Daily recently, where one captain of a corvette was actually telling the PLA Daily that we are in a situation of equipment waiting talent. That means they have no people to handle their equipment. How do you see this whole situation? And is China kind of pushing themselves far beyond their means?
Maybe we can take some lesson learned from Ukraine and some symbol of the China military training. You can see the first one is in this year. Usually in January, China will announce their guideline of training, and then Xi Jinping also will make speech and encourage that the PLA for their training. But very uh, special that in this year, Xi Jinping not do and then not announce the guideline order to the military training is a very special point this year. The second point is uh, some China media say to back to the people war of people war strategic and tactic of Mao Zedong is also very special because you can see that from Jiang Zemin, it pursues, it acts to fight, to win the high-tech world. But right now, China want to back to the people war, strategic and tactic. It means that Russia and Ukraine war lesson learned is already in effect or influence that PRA their strategic thinking and maybe their tactics. And then China also right now already acknowledged that the gap between the United States and China, so they need to back to people war. That's the second point. The third point, you can check from the PLA military training and exercise to assess their joint operation capability. From the open results, we can see right now PLA training only on brigade, under the brigade level. We don't see any above the brigade like um, corps or army level joint operation exercise. It means right now for China, they don't have the joint operation capability in the group army or corps level. So it is very important because if China want to raise invasion to the Taiwan, is not only the several brigades level. It need to combine the different group army from different theater command, but it need to a command can uh, uh, command theater a theater command to combine or integrate the different group army and then to start the operation toward Taiwan. And even in the China-India border, it's the same situation. It only focus on several brigade level training exercise, but not above the brigade in group army. I think the third point. Maybe this year or next year, China also will want to increase its capability in military training in a low profile.
That is a very interesting insight, I must say, sir, because a lot of people, with the Chinese propaganda going around all over the world, people think, oh, China is a big, they are a big
Yeah,
military, but they have a long way to go. There is no question about it. And you've brought it out very beautifully. I must say, compliments to you with regards to how you've actually put this across, because we in India, one, South China Sea is a distant, place for us, and two, we have our own problems with China. So you know it's a lot for India to actually comprehend. I must say, sir, it's always a learning experience, and I'm going to request you to come back to us. I'm going to
okay.
link you up with Major General Rajiv Narayanan in the next week, and we will do another show which will be a little longer discussion about the overall perspective of China Taiwan relations, and of course a little bit about India as well, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you so
okay.
much for
No
taking
problem.
out the time, and
Yes.
Jai Hind, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.